At 0846 hours, the station bell will toll once, marking the time that American Airlines Flight 11 struck the north face of the World Trade Center. That was 20 years ago today. It killed all 92 people on board and ensured the deaths of 1,400 people at the aircraft's impact zone. After the bell tolls at that time, we will pause for a moment of silence. Ladies and gentlemen, I ask that you rise as we post our nation's colors and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. I'd first of all like to thank the Honor Guard for the Fitchburg Police Department and the Fitchburg Fire Department. These are activities that they participate in regularly for duty, for honor, and really this is time that they spend on their own to perfect what ultimately serves all of us very well as an emergency service and as a community. On behalf of our command staff, officers, firefighters, and our police officers, we would like to welcome you to the Fitchburg Fire Department. Together with the police department, we are commemorating the 20th anniversary of the September 11th attacks. We will pay tribute to those who lost their lives in New York, in Washington, D.C., in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. This observation will honor thousands of military lives that were lost in the war on terror. American lives lost, answering the call, doing their jobs, those who placed themselves in a position where we had service above self. I would like to take this time to introduce the mayor of Fitchburg. When we presented this idea of putting together just a quick observance of the September 11th tragedies, Mayor Richardson was the first one to give me a call back and volunteered his time to come up and say a few words. So Mayor, if you could please.
I think my experience was similar to many others 20 years ago. I got in the car, started driving to work, turned on the radio, and they talked about how one of the trade centers had gotten hit by a plane. And I'll be honest, I didn't really understand the significance of the trade towers at that point in time. I didn't understand why that would be a target. And then as I'm driving to work, the second tower gets hit, and all day long, just that feeling of uneasiness. You heard about the plane going down, the plane hitting the Pentagon. And for me, my sister was in the Navy at that time. She was 8 months pregnant with my nephew and living out in Seattle. And so at that point, of course, myself is thinking about her safety. What's gonna happen with her? I knew they weren't gonna send her overseas or somewhere like that with, pregnant or even with a young baby, but I didn't know how long, she still had 2 years left on her commitment. I didn't know what was gonna happen to her long term. And you really look at the bravery that people exhibited that day and days beyond that. And for me, being able to remember, that's what I try to remember about that time, is the people who came together, who were very selfless, in what they did. And for me, that's really what I tried to take from what was just a horrible incident as well. And so I think it's important to look back and remember those people that 20 years ago, and really that was the start of this conflict, but really lost their lives and the bravery that they exhibited to try and save other people. And that's where I really appreciate the people who are our firefighters, our paramedics, our police officers, those people who every day put their lives on the line for people like myself and for you. So I think it's a great time to remember that and to also remember those who unfortunately lost their lives. And I want to thank you for being here today, and also thank all of the people that we are very fortunate to have in our community that every day have that sacrifice for us and really support and help residents like myself and like you. So thank you for being here, and thank you for having me.
Thank you, Mayor Richardson. For those of us who lived through the events of September 11th, remember the days that followed, the wave of emotions, not only anger and vulnerability and grief, but pride and patriotism. We made a promise to never forget. It got me thinking, not all of our firefighters are even old enough to have been alive during the attacks. So never forgetting requires historical perspective and education, learning from our experiences and passing along the significance of memorializing these events. As we ring the bell today, we symbolize the loss of life, the innocent, the patriotic, the heroic. And each time we ring the bell today, we will follow with a moment of silence. I would like to recognize those in attendance today. Alder Riddell is here from District 1. Alder Aradafrada, District 2, right? District 4 and District 1, sorry, they're numbers. But very nice to have you here today. We have a number of our firefighters in attendance, family, friends, and it's important to be able to acknowledge the fact that as a community, we not only grieved, but we came together to heal. So this will begin the observance ceremoniously of the various attacks that took place. So after I read a brief description of what happened and the time that it happened, we will toll the bell once and offer a moment of silence. On September 11, 2001, United Flight 175 struck the south face of Tower Number 2. All 65 on board were killed. The plane was traveling at 500 miles per hour as it impacted floors 77 through 85 with over 9,100 gallons of fuel. It also killed scores of people inside the building. That time was 09:03 hours. American Airlines Flight 77, originally bound for Los Angeles, falls victim to terrorist control and crashes into the western face of the Pentagon. 64 people on the plane perished, and 125 Pentagon employees died at 09:37 hours. At 09:59, the south tower of the World Trade Center begins to collapse, killing anyone who survived the initial collapse. At 10:03 hours, the passengers of United Airlines Flight 93 overtake their hijackers and crash their plane in the fields of Shanksville, Pennsylvania. If the passengers had not rallied against the terrorists, it is presumed that Flight 93 would have ended up at the Capitol building or the White House. At 10:28 hours, the North Tower of the World Trade Center begins to collapse. In the hours, days, and months that followed September 11th, many people stepped forward to donate time, talent, and treasure. A blood drive, a fundraiser, a helping hand. Neighbor helping neighbor. It's through these horrific acts that we truly appreciated the voice of one nation. The ringing of the bell is a tradition of the fire service which reflects on respect and honor, giving that to those who lost their lives in the line of duty. The ringing of the bell represents the end of the emergency and the return to quarters. In honoring the fallen, the bell is usually rung 3 times in 3 successive patterns. In the past, as firefighters began their tour of duty, it was the bell that signaled the beginning of that shift's day. Throughout the day and night, each alarm was sounded by a bell, which summoned these brave souls to fight fires, to place their lives in jeopardy for the good of their fellow citizen. When the fire was out, and the alarm had come to an end, it was the bell that signaled to all the completion of that call. When a firefighter dies in the line of duty, paying the supreme sacrifice, it is the mournful toll of the bell that solemnly announces our comrade's passing. Today, on this 20th anniversary of the World Trade Center tragedy, the bell will toll for those who died on September 11, 2001, and for those who have died since due to illness or psychological impact.
All uniformed personnel, attention! Reason. On. Order. On. Flag detail. Recover. All uniformed personnel. Yes, this. Detail. Over. Up.
Uniformed personnel can be seated. This concludes our memorial and dedication to the lives lost on September 11th. It's slightly symbolic that the flag today is not only at half-staff for those that died in September 11th, but for three brothers in the Navy who lost their life in World War II and are returning home today. There are several military members that are not coming home as a result of the war on terror that were instigated and instituted because of the attacks on the World Trade Center and those on September 11th. So with that, I would like to thank you all for attending, for observing this remembrance, for remembering and never forgetting. Thank you, and enjoy your day.